بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين هو الذي خلق الإنسان من طين وأخرجه من الظلمات إلى النور فنحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره نؤمن به ونتوكل عليه نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين قال الله في القرآن الكريم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتون إلا وأنتم مسلمون. With the Lord's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, we give all praise and all thanks to Almighty God Allah, the God of Nibaba, the cherisher and the sustainer of all worlds, all systems of knowledge. We witness, make open testimony without hesitation, without reservation, or without embarrassment, that there is only one God. And again, we give all thanks, the complete and perfect thanks, the complete and perfect praise belongs to Him. And He is living. He is the living God whose life is without need. But there is no life without a need in Him. He says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونِ He said He created the jinn and mankind for no other reason, no other purpose except to serve Him. And how do we serve Allah? He says, ما أريد منكم من رزقني وما يريد أن يطعمني. He said He doesn't need us to provide for Him any substance, risk, any substance. He says, وما أريد, He said He don't need us to provide any food for Him, to feed Him. The most basic things that every single thing that has life needs. So He doesn't need the basic things that everything in life needs. So how do we serve Him if we are created to serve the Creator, Allah Ta'ala? He says that His life is self-subsisting. So we know He doesn't need, as He said, He doesn't need food. He's not fed. But we know He feeds all. We all eat because Allah has provided for the substance for us to eat. Everything for our basic needs, Allah Ta'ala has provided for us. He's eternal. He's eternal. He's As-Samad. As-Samad. It means He has always existed. I know it's hard for some to imagine. He has always existed. And it also means that this As-Samad means that His nature is a nature that resists, is resisting anything that wants to affect Him. Anything that wants to affect. Nothing can affect Allah. Nothing can affect Him. Nothing can affect the Creator of the heavens and the earth. It's imagining that nothing can penetrate Him. Change doesn't affect Him. Rest doesn't affect Him. Fatigue doesn't affect Him. Time, all these things, He created all these things. And none of these things affect Him. They only affect us. You see? And that includes life. That includes death, you know. That doesn't touch Him. Death. He created life. He created death. They didn't exist before He created it. You see? So this physical life that we have, Allah is not, it's not affected by the same things we're affected by. You know, we get confused sometimes by some of the people of the past and how they see Allah. But this mortal life doesn't touch Him. Death does not touch Him, you know. He's living. He's eternal. He is the source of life. He's living. He's the source of all life. Anything that has life, Allah is the source of that life. This is a reality for us to come into, for us to see. And He said that He never gave birth to anything. He never gave birth to something like a father gives birth to children. And the Quran makes it very clear. The word really has strong reference to He never gave birth to a boy. Because somebody in the world said He gave birth to a boy. So Allah addresses that clearly in the Quran. It comes to make things clear. It comes to make things clear. And He said that He gave birth and He never was a son born of someone. Also again to make things clear. This is the Quran. This is the last revelation, you see. And He said that there has never been anything that has existed, and there will never be anything that will exist that will be like Him. The one, Allah Ta'ala, He's so big. He's bigger. We say Allahu Akbar. We have to begin our day with Allahu Akbar. We have to end the night with Allahu Akbar. He's greater. He's bigger than anything and everything. More important, far more important than things we see. Yet He's not somewhere. He's not somewhere occupying space because He's too big. Not occupying space somewhere. Again, He created space. But He is not subjected to the limitations of space. We are subjected to the limitations of space. We are occupying space right now. You see, space changes. Allah doesn't change. Space is weakened. Allah is never weakened. Space depends on what's there. Allah is independent of all, while everything depends on Him. Even space depends on Allah. Space, as we know it, didn't exist until Allah created it. You see, even that depends on Him, and we know space is all around us. It's so real to us, and we can never escape it. And Allah said He's more present than even it. Space itself. You see? So we have to see, again, distance and nearness. We can't associate those things with Allah. They don't apply to Him. He's not away. Don't see Him as being away. Some see Him when they look up, think of Him being away in heaven somewhere. No, He's not away. He's close by. And He wants us to know He's something closer to you than your jugular vein. To let you know just how close. That's the life source, you see. You don't have a jugular vein, there's no life. There's no life, you see. So He said that's how close He is to you. And so that tells us that you can never, ever escape the presence of Allah. He's that close. Before you even think it. He said He knows your innermost thoughts. And even before you even think it, you don't even have to say it out loud. You don't even have to make it public. You see, He already got it. You don't have to pray out loud. He already got it. He knows you. He knows you before. He don't have to wait for you to do anything. He don't have to wait years down the road to see what's going to happen. Allah doesn't have to wait. He already knows. This is Allah. He's Al-Alim. That doesn't mean that He knows what's going to happen today or what happened. He knows everything that's going to happen. He already knows. He's Al-Alim. Allah wants us to know that the whole universe is too small. It's too small to contain Him. That is to tell us that if we put our protection, our trust in Him, that no matter how big it is, anything, no matter how big it is that comes up against us, it will never be bigger than Allah, and really can't contain the will of Allah that's in the life of us if we consider, if we seek to move forward upon that. So Allah has given us in the Quran. We come into the Quran. We're told in the Quran itself before we read it to say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. That's how we're supposed to come into the Quran. Ain't nobody there but you. You see? It's just you. But you're supposed to say that. I seek refuge. I seek refuge. I seek protection. Refuge. You come in. And then Allah has given us two beautiful surahs. Mu'at Widatan. And it's so wonderful because we find them in both the Meccan period and we find them also in Medina. And we find them dealing with external threats. We find them dealing with internal threats. These two surahs that Muhammad the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say they're so beautiful and they're so wonderful. These surahs. They were used to protect them twice, we know, but many, many times. He said these prayers many, many times. The Mu'at Widatan, these verses of refuge. This is what they're called, verses of refuge. Again, these last two in the Quran. And these are really prayers. These are prayers. We know the whole Holy Quran is a prayer. The whole book is it's so precious, brothers and sisters, that it's our prayer. That's our prayer. The book is that precious. You know, we have to say the Quran. We can't make a prayer without the Quran. That's the foundation of our Quran. That's what causes us for life to stand up. The words of Allah. Our life wouldn't stand if we didn't have the words of Allah in our life. Our life could never even stand. You know, this is the foundation for life. So this is the whole book, and Allah says, I seek refuge. This phrase, A'udhu. I seek refuge. This is asking for help. This is asking Allah for help. This is asking Allah to give you protection, to give you the refuge. And so we got these two surahs here, you see. And the thing about it is so beautiful because they're not just for Muslims. Anybody can say these prayers, you know. It represents the universality of Al-Islam, the universality of the Quran, the universality of the life of Muhammad the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his sunnah, everything, the words of Allah. This is universal. You see, you won't find anything in here that no one can agree with in any other faith. It's a universal, actually the whole book, but certainly this here. And and we should pray these prayers often. Often pray these prayers. We know Muhammad, again, we find in his sunnah, in the hadith, really, also, that he said these prayers often, daily. And certainly when things protecting, we needed protection from certain things. So Allah gives us these because this world is too much. You know, He's big, the world is big, and it looks much bigger to us from where we are than what it does for Allah. We can't manage it, so we need one that's bigger than all of it to help us to manage this life, this world. All of this was created for us. You know, this is really small. This body, this piece that we have right here is really small in terms of what we've been created for. You see? Allah says, Sakra lakum ma fi samawati wa ma fil ard. That He have made subjected to us the whole of the heavens and the earth. So that tells us that this is just small. I mean, some people have a hard time just managing this. But Allah knows the material reality. If we don't have Him, if we don't seek Him as our protector, if we don't seek refuge in Him, that we can't even manage this life that He gave us. And some people are doing a poor job of doing just that. Managing, they're wasting their life. It's like they're wasting the human space because of what they're doing, how they're mistreating themselves. Not to mention other people, how they're mistreating themselves. You know, so Allah gives us these prayers to help us to manage it and to get help. He is the help. This is what it's saying. He is the help. And He will give us help if we call on Him. And this, again, this is universal. Every society, when we look at the evolution of time, etc., have come under the influence or has been tempted by Satan. Every society. There's not one that have escaped this here. You know, every society, they have magicians, they have witchcraft, they have these things, and they have those that need refuge and need protection from those that begin to raise up, to begin to suppress the life that Allah gave them to progress upon. You see? So we are currently, this refuge, this is not a new term. This is something, even today, what's visible to us across the whole globe is the refugees. You see? Here we have a surah in it. They begin with to seek refuge, verses of refuge. Verses of refuge. So to alert us that, first of all, we need to be involved in that and protecting those who seek refuge, because Allah, He's the protector. And anything He is, that's an attribute that we're supposed to be trying to do those things too, to protect those that need refuge. Okay, so we know, even if we look at just the external stuff that we're seeing around the world right now, today, brothers and sisters, the world is experiencing the largest refugee crisis in recorded history. It's never been larger than it is right now. 65 million people just displaced all across the globe, misplaced all across the globe. So this is huge. It's never happened before, you know. And half of that number I just gave you, a half of that number, they're children. Children, you see. So these things are to make us conscious. Really, Allah gave us a formula to help protect us, but also to make us conscious about what's happening in the world. The Quran ends with these two verses of refuge, you know. And every day, right now they're recording every day, UN is recording every day, 34,000 people are becoming homeless. Right now. This is the time we're living in right now. You know, so we need to turn to the source of life and not the vices of life. You see, if we turn to the source of life, then we can solve these problems. You see, and this is what these surahs they give us the help to be able to overcome these things. You know, we know refugees. Again, these are people. They lost their homes for many different reasons. You know, we're seeing when we look at this 65 million in this number right here, some of them was facing persecution. And right here, even in our own home, we have refugees too. Ethnicity, persecution against ethnicity, persecution against religion, nationality. I mean, look, all this stuff is happening. It's visible right now. It's a big deal. Persecution because of your political opinion, because of your political membership in some group or something like that. You know. And people, they're displaced. And they say some of them, they're displaced for up to 17 years or more. You know, they're never able to get back home, some of them. You know, it takes that long, just in camps and in urban situations, you know. Don't have health care, basic needs, you know, the basic things we talk about, you know. Social services, education, job, work opportunities, these things they don't have, basic things. And again, we can come right back here and we can look, and we don't necessarily call refugees in the country here, but we're facing these same problems where people can't find jobs. The education system is messed up right now. You got a whole new thing. Public education, charter school right now, you got private schools right now. Things are failing the people. We found all kind of crises happening where people need protection. We need protection from people in society that are saying disparaging comments, causing us to be attacked by people, causing us to be killed by people, causing us to be ridiculed by people. You got people being killed just because of the color of their skin, etc. This is this struggle in America, the history of racism, enslaved for 250 years, followed by 100 years of Jim Crow, trying to come out of that. We need rescue from that. We need protection from that. So Allah gives us the answer. And when we look at the answer, we can see how many have been able to come, how we actually as a people, in the evolution of history over time. People have been able to overcome that really by following the formula that Allah gives us and really telling us really how society is formed. Really, when we get into, we won't have time to get into these surahs to really break everything down in these surahs today in terms of what Allah has given us in them. Maybe we'll do a part 2, inshallah. But Kul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq. This is the first one. It's called falaq. And so we introduce Kul a'udhu bi rabbil. And both of these, they have in the very first ayah, it's 11 ayahs total. And everything we know, we can really look at the 11 things that attack human life. And we know there's a mystic piece in the life of the prophet, peace be upon him, where 11 gnats were tied to hold him down, and 11 pins put in some dowel. This is one of the stories, one of the mystical stories that happened. But these surahs cause all of that to be broken down. And but just to tell us that all of the 11 major things that hold a human being down, that causes him to have problems and to come between him and his Lord, these surahs break all those things down. The answer is in these 2 surahs right here. These exiting the Quran with these two surahs right here. So Rab, we know Allah starts out by saying, here it is a must. It is a must to have the protection of the Lord of the Dawn. And we're looking at this now, and we got to look who this stuff came to at the time that it came. Arabs in time of ignorance, and what they were believing in. And then here Muhammad the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, gives them this concept, the Lord of the Dawn. This is this big thing, And it suggests the work is to when you say Rab, is to bring the base, the elementary thing to its completion, from the start. To bring it into its potential, bring it into its maturity, So this is what this is saying, and so that's something that's raw. When you talk about Rab, something that starts off weak, undeveloped, in a circumstances, and then Allah, He brings that, nourishes that whatever that form is, to it comes into complete development. And we can look at that. We look at human life. He's the Rab of that. We're not responsible for that development. Allah all of our life, this is the cycle that it comes through, So this is what He brings man's attention to. And even as a people in a society, if you're undeveloped, if you're weak, you can see how Allah Ta'ala comes in and brings those people through that situation, from that raw, that deprived situation, you see, that situation where they've been maybe taken from humanity, etc., debased as human beings. We see history, how Allah brings them from that, to establish them in the world. And we're seeing that too. So He said He is the Rabb of the Falaq. This is the Lord of the daybreak. Light. And of course, those situations that we described as darkness. In the womb, we're in darkness. When we're weak, we're undeveloped, etc. And He brings from darkness into light. You see, all these situations we're talking about for these refugees, these are situations of darkness. These plights upon their life. These things we're seeing in America right now, we say there's a period of darkness. People are trying to, something hit the soul, they're looking for light, shed some light on this subject so we can see and we can move better. Our life doesn't matter. You know what I mean? We need jobs, we need better circumstances, etc. How do we overcome this bigotry that we're seeing in society? All this, we need light on this situation. So Allah said, turn to Him. You need refuge. Turn to Him. And again, it says Lord of light. So this is what He's saying, that not only is He the Lord of the light, He's the one who started the light. He's the one who started it. So it gives you a whole nother piece right here. And the whole emphasis, when we look at it, is talking about separating darkness from light. Falaq. And this is what Allah wants us to see. And He says that when there's light, if there's something interrupts the light, which we're seeing today. We are hearing conversations about we've made this kind of progress, and all of a sudden darkness have come. And people have stopped, and they're trying to erase even some progress that has been made. Even just talking about civil rights, we talk about voting, the Voting Rights Act, and then what we're seeing right now today, this interruptions, and we saw light at the end of the tunnel. All these things, Allah said, when something interrupts the order or brings about darkness and then confusion, which there is, He's saying that He is the one that will progress it. He will progress the light. You see? So it tells you that I should turn to the one who started the light in the first place. You see, if I want to find a way out, if I want to get out of the darkness. You see, the Lord of the Falak, He is the one that light. Falak. You see, and it's really not for us to just focus on physical light. Allah is trying to appeal to what He's given us as human beings, and that's the intellect, and it's trying to tell us that man begins to see the distinction. When he begins to see the distinction between intelligent guidance, and what's the opposite? Selfish use of a thing. Those are the distinction factor right there. Intelligence guidance. We see intelligent guidance. We see eventually the child goes over just thinking about itself and wants to be useful. You see? But when you begin to become selfish and use a thing just for your own purposes, your own family, etc., then you really going into darkness. You see, that's not going to bring you into light. You see? But that's, even in that, if you got Allah in mind, He'll bring you through that, and that's to be the dawning now of a new mind. To go from self to a broader circle. To go from a small circle of self to a broader circle of oneness and humanity and embracing all. You see, this is the dawning of a new light for us. You see, and we have to understand that this is all referring to education. And we know that in the time this was revealed, the time they called it ignorance, Jahiliyyah was a term coined for that part of the world at that time. Not that the whole world was in it later, but they didn't have educational institutions, the institutions of higher learning. They didn't have them. You know, it's called Umayyin. These people, you know. So education, knowledge of right thinking. This is what it's talking about. Knowledge of right thinking. This is the light it's talking about. The right attitudes. This is what will be ushered in, you know. So He is the one who takes something from its beginning and brings it into this full light of understanding. He is the protector. Allah is saying He is the protector. He will protect you during this development. You see, He will cause you to come into the fullness if you turn to Him. If you give that prayer to Him, you pray to Him, and you trust Him. A'udhu billahi. A'udhu. Rabbi zidni ilm, Rabbi zidni ilm, Rabbi zidni ilm. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulih Kareem Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah is the protector of man's intellect and of man's soul, of both. And we sometimes ask and we look for where is the strongest part of man. You know, that's a question. Is it in spirit? And what we find in the Quran, really, in the life of Muhammad the Prophet, in terms of things he said to us about the aql, is not the spirit. The strongest part is not in the spirit. You see, the strongest part for man is in his intelligence. The spirit is strong for destruction. We got all kinds of spirits that you can give yourself to. But if it doesn't have this intellect, this intellectual piece that Allah gives us, that will be the salvation for us. Spirit without intelligent pursuit is destruction. And we see people destroying themselves. Those who give themselves over different types of spirits, we find different people in society, candidates, etc. We're not trying to say any names, but that's not intelligent pursuit of matters. You see, they have a spirit for a thing, and we register it as being negative spirits. You see, and it leads a lot of people to destruction. They even call wine spirits, right? These kinds, you give yourself to that. That's not going to progress to life, you know. And we give ourselves to all kinds of things, drugs and spirit. We give our spirit to those kinds of things, you know. So with spirit without the intellect is destruction. You see, and this is why Allah has said that it's important for us to seek refuge in Him, so that He can put the intellect out front to lead the spirit. It's important that the intellect lead the spirit, and this is why the Quran was revealed upon the heart and went straight to the intellect, and we begin to see all kinds of things in the world change. You know, the Renaissance, an appreciation for science. These kind of things we begin to see happen, that the intellect began to produce, because the light was turned on. The light came on. And so Allah lets us know. I'm going to say a few more things. We'll go ahead and close it out and save it for another part. Min shari ma khalaq. So, seek refuge in the Lord of Dawn. And then he says, from shar of ma khalaq. And it's really seek refuge from the harm. Some translated evil. But the term shar is very close to harm. Really, Allah didn't create evil. Some would say that, but evil really implies intent, you see. So Baham, so he says ma khalaq, in what's created, to tell us that everything in creation, it has the potential for benefit and for harm. And Allah says seek refuge in Him to make sure that we use the things that He's given us for benefit, not for harm. And we can see that man has done both. They found the harm in things in creation. We have some things they found that can destroy the whole planet in the creation. You know, simple things. Water is good. It has benefit, but it can also kill you if it's not approached correctly. You know, fire is given for benefit, but it can also destroy if it's not approached correctly. All of these things. So Allah is saying seek refuge in Him from what's in it. And it really starts with yourself. In you there's that potential, because He gave you limited free will. You see? So this a'udhu really saying I'm talking to myself. It's only me there when I'm reading Quran. You know, and we have to say this. And so Allah said coming in, and then when you go out, you should still remember that. That's where it always starts. And you'll be able to see more. When you start within, you'll be able to see more without. But most people can't see within, what's happening within, because they're too busy looking out. And as we continue to go on through the surah, then we eventually come to the one who nafaqat fil uqad, who blows on the conviction. And conviction. This is what it's really talking about. The uqad is aqada. Aqada is talking about a knot, something that ties, something that binds. So they translate it, who blows on the knot. But this is talking about the knot of your conviction, you know, your resolve for a thing. And we find that many in society, what they do is they try to whisper and break it up and bring in confusion. You see, and weaken your conviction for your life, the resolve for your life, and then it causes you to be doubtful. Both of these surahs, they go into that. And then of course the hasad, the envy and jealousy, the prophet, he says beware of that, beware of hasad. Hasad. He said eats up goodness like fire eats up wood. You know, and we find that this is one of the biggest problems in the society is envy and jealousy. And again, because people, they look at other people and they miss what Allah put in them, because they're too busy looking at somebody else and desiring something else and wanting something else. You see, that the goodness that Allah gave them and all the goodness that they may have done is now being depleted. And this is a big one in our community right now, jealousy. Across our community, Muslims, we envy, we jealous each other, and we are suffering also from the isms as well, racism. Some of us, we think we're better. Supremism, some think we're better because of our culture. Some think we're better because we're closer in proximity to the house that Abraham built. I will obey these kind of things. They look down on others. These things, we see this in the societies, you see. and we want to be better. And we see in society now the supremacists, the white supremacists here in America, they're upset because in their mind they're better, and they can't see someone of another race coming. These are the kind of things that begin to creep in, and we have to seek protection from Allah from in terms of how to suppress it, how to deal with it, and how to overcome it when they come in. And then we don't have time. We'll go into both of them a little more next time, inshallah, about the gossip that overwhelms us. But we want to thank Allah for blessing us to have the Quran here in the United States of America. We thank Allah for the diversity that He's given us all as Muslims. We ask Allah that He will give comfort to the families. There are many families that were lost in the hurricane, particularly in Haiti. I think we see the most lost now with the hundreds of people lost. And we have many people who lost their homes, roofs have been broken up all along the East Coast, South Side. We ask Allah to give them comfort, their families as well. And we ask Allah to protect us here in America. We ask Allah to protect our heart. We ask Allah to guide us, to guide our intentions, to guide our lives here in America, to stand up for this way of life that He's given us, this path, al-Islam. And we ask Allah to keep our interest for the whole of the religion, and that we live it fully in society so that our life will be a testimony, a witness for all of the societies of what Allah wants for mankind. We ask Allah to give us light and open our eyes for the light and forgive us our ignorance and our sins against our own life so that we will have His mercy and a new chance for life and progress. Ameen. Come to Salah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Hayya ala salat, hayya ala salat. Come to salat, come to salat. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
We good in the back? Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Al-Fatiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. Assalamu alaikum. We have a few announcements, inshallah. We know we have coming up in a couple of weeks, basically 2 weeks now. We're 2 weeks away from our events on October the 21st and 22nd. We're going to have a forum by the Next Generation Action Network. We'll be sponsoring and we're partnering with them, and also the Black Women for Positive Change on the 21st. We're going to do a forum at I think it's at the Rise, one of the buildings at the Rise. That'll be at 7 o'clock. And by the way, I want to also thank Sister Bathsheba for coordinating the event we had last Saturday, Stop the Violence Town Hall that was done here. I'm listening to that now. I'm very pleased with, and we all should get those discs. If you didn't make that forum, very good information on that forum, on that Stop the Violence, that town hall that took place right here. And of course, on Saturday, October 22nd, we're bringing in the former heavyweight champion of the world, Larry Holmes. There'll be other champions there as well. He's the key figure, a very healthy figure. We also have other national figures going to be there. We have also interfaith leaders. We have some of our city representatives going to be there. We have enough challengers right now. What we call the first part of that is the interfaith chili cook-off. And we have a lot of what we call community leaders, celebrities, etc., that they all entering a chili in the contest, and that's going to start at 12 o'clock. Hopefully you all will come, participate, meet them, speak with them just a day to get a chance to meet and speak with this at the leadership level. And then we're going to be talking about what we can do. We're going to the Southeast. We're going to be at the Rise. We're trying to get more into the community to do more on what we can do to help solve the problems in the cities, and particularly in the areas where they're hurting the most in terms of violence and everything else. So right after the chili cook-off, that brings the leaders together. We're going to hear from some of those leaders to talk about it. And we have leaders coming together that will never come together for this type of event. And behind that, at 3 o'clock, we're going to have boxing, sparring, and workout sessions. 7 of our gyms in the city have elected to participate, and so we're also bringing those gyms together. This is like a first. This is the first time they've come together like this to do something positive all together. Generally, they're all competitors, and they're doing other things. So we thank Allah for them. So that's going to be going on from 3 to 5. We're going to hear from Larry Holmes. We're going to hear from some of the gyms and other things. We all know, particularly the foundation for this community is the African American community. And in the African American community, we know that boxing for those communities, for this community, is like soccer is for some other communities in other countries. And it's like the low level. You don't have to have no degree. You can come out of the incarceration and still be able to go from meager circumstances, marginalized circumstances, and rise to the top, be on the world stage. But I went to visit a couple of these gyms. We thank Allah for what He's doing with these young people. That is a source to bring them together. They're not getting enough support. We do want to get more support and bring more attention to other things we can do to help save our children's lives and get them another way to bring out the positive energy that's in them, so it not be directed to the negative things that we see happening right now. So this is one of the things we're going to do. We hope you will come there and support us. The chili cook-off, again, that's for ringside seats, and the chili cook-off, you come and get to taste everything. You get to speak to everybody, take some photos with some of the celebrities. That's $50. Normal general admission is only $25, but you just don't get the ringside seats when we get to the sparring competition. So support that event. We want it to be a success. Outside of that, the 3 o'clock session is really open to the public, period. So if you're not going to make the first part, please make that second part and support our children. And we're going to have someone there also from the U.S. Attorney's Office speaking. We also have the FBI is going to be there. This is a community thing. These are community to help solve the problems that we're having. No one demographic can solve the problems that we're having. We have to come together to do this. So support the event on October the 22nd. Also Sunday we'll be starting back up now. We had the teachers meeting and the volunteers meeting with our youth program here. Sunday we'll start the first session of this, I think, seventh cycle. This is probably, I think, the 3rd year. Support the program. Be a sponsor. Sponsor a child, bring your children out to the program. This is a great foundation for us to begin to start getting ready to build. Again, we're looking at going to a full-time school again. And this is the basis that we're using that, but it needs support. Nothing can be successful without support. Support the school, put funds into it, so it'll be successful. We got 2 components. We got a leadership component. We're giving the teenagers up to 17, they get a stipend. They also have to teach and be leaders. We're teaching them how to do that. But we're giving them also a stipend. But we need funds to make sure that we can continue to supply that to them as well. So support that program and support all the programs. And we definitely need support for, again, the building. We're still trying to expand. We owe our architects some funds. If we can get about $60K, we can get him squared away and get him back on the job and get what we need. You all have to understand, I'll talk more about this. We have a community meeting coming up on October, I think, the 29th. And I'll go everything in detail. But we're losing about $85,000 on a piece of property in southeast. We lost a tenant, and we have to absorb that right now. So it's kind of like you take a step forward. In fact, and if you don't kick in, we're not going to be able to achieve what we're trying to achieve. So don't hold back. We got to make sacrifices. We just buried yesterday, yesterday, the oldest pioneer, 104 years old. And when we looked at her rap sheet, so to speak, her obituary, it dealt with she came into this community working, not seeing what it can do for her. She came in here giving to the community, working, and making things happen, doing fundraisers. That was the basis of her foundation. This community and also Baltimore. You see, and she said just recently, here she is 104 years old. Just recently she said, "I'm tired. Now look at this, 104 years old saying I'm tired. Now look how old some of us are, and we're talking we're tired already. We haven't really done anything. We haven't put out the kind of work that she put out. 104 years old. And then Allah blessed her and gave her, when you say you're tired, you need rest. And Allah tells us the kind of rest you get when you work. That what's for the workers, what's for His workers. You see, the complete rest and satisfaction. That you're pleased, well-pleasing to yourself and well-pleasing to your Lord. The complete rest. And we know and we continue to pray for our dear sister. And we thank Allah for her as one of our pioneers. We're benefiting from her sacrifices. We're benefiting from her sacrifices. What is the sacrifice that we're going to make so others can benefit from our sacrifice and enrich our soul? Assalamu alaikum.
Downtown? Man, I bet. Yeah, yeah. Well, I've been going to the one over there on Hopkins Plaza because I had deals with issues about my father and her health care. Yeah, man. So, man, yeah. Oh, I gotta get you number something. Okay, where you live at? I don't know where that's at. But I'm back and forth, man.